What is going on, guys? It is Wrestlelamia here, back with another video. The road to WrestleMania 38 begins tonight, as it's now time for the 34th edition of the Royal Rumble. Ah boy, it wasn't a good one. No cap, that was one of the shittiest men's rumbles I've ever seen. But join us now as we look at the good, the bad, and the downright ugly, a big botch in the Royal Rumble, and news of a fire breaking out. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos, and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. Now we are going to recap the show since it's a pay-per-views, but on the pre-show nothing happened, just hype videos, which can be a good thing. Now we move on to the main show as the Universal Championship match opens the show as champion Roman Reigns takes on Seth Rollins. Rollins continues his mind games, entering to the Shield's entrance music and wearing his old Shield gear. That was amazing. A back and forth in the ring until things go outside and Rollins surprises Reigns with a Shield bomb through the announcer's table. Rollins' offense continues with a buckle bomb and curb stomp, but Reigns kicks out. He manages to recover, brutalizing Seth in and out of the ring. Reigns goes to end it with a spear, but Rollins somehow counters it into a pedigree. It's not the first time we've seen it, but I always love it. Reigns won't be stopped though and spears Rollins, locking in a guillotine until Rollins reaches the ropes. Or does he? It looks like dumb luck, or referee Charles Robinson may have guided Rollins' hand to the ropes. Whatever the case, Reigns won't release the hold, leading to a DQ loss. Yeah, Seth Rollins wins, but only by DQ. Reigns snaps and takes his frustrations out on Rollins, beating him senseless with a chair. Next up, we then have a Women's Royal Rumble match as Sasha Banks enters at number 1 with a daunting task ahead of her. The boss puts on a fierce fight, eliminating several veterans until Zelina Vega scores a surprise elimination on her while Tamina tries to eject Banks. Sonya Deville comes in at number 11 but sticks to her role as an authority figure, joining the announcers. However, Deville's efforts backfire as Naomi shows up and eliminates her. But not to be outdone, Deville helps eliminate Naomi from the Rumble even though she's no longer an active competitor. Gotta hate that. The match continues with no clear winner until Ronda Rousey shows up, changing everything. The final four are Shayna Baszler, Ronda Rousey, Charlotte Flair, and Bianca Belair. It's now the Queen versus the baddest woman on the planet, but Charlotte charges Ronda only for Rousey to dump her over the top rope, as Ronda Rousey is now on her way to WrestleMania as a winner of the Women's Royal Rumble. We then get the Raw Women's Championship match as champion Becky Lynch takes on Doudrop. Now Doudrop dominates early, relying on her strength and size. However, the champion uses her speed to avoid Doudrop when the challenger tries to cannonball her on the steel steps. Lynch takes over, nearly ending the match with a sleeper on her opponent, but Doudrop manages to rally, getting a strong number of 2 counts. But despite her efforts, Doudrop is outsmartened as Lynch hits a manhandle slam off the second rope, covering Doudrop for the 1-2-3 and Becky Lynch retaining. Next up, we then have the WWE Championship match as champion Brock Lesnar takes on Bobby Lashley. Now things start off with both men throwing defense out of the window and going in all offense. Lesnar goes into beast mode, taking Lashley to Suplex City. Lesnar goes for an F5, but Lashley counters, applying the Hurt Lock until Lesnar collides with the referee. Lesnar hits an F5 on the Almighty but takes out the referee in the process. The referee is now down as Roman Reigns runs the ring, spearing Brock Lesnar. Reigns gives Paul Heyman the death stare, then motions for Heyman to hand over the WWE Championship. Reigns blasts Lesnar with the title as a replacement referee runs in just as Lashley recovers and pins Lesnar for the 1-2-3. Bobby Lashley is the new WWE Champion. Next up, it's the mixed tag team match as the Miz and Maurice take on Edge and Beth Phoenix. It's a classic battle of 2 babyfaces and 2 heels, but with the twist of the 2 teams both being real-life couples. The babyfaces start off strong with Edge and Beth Phoenix showing why they're both WWE Hall of Famers. Nonetheless, the Miz and Maurice show off their craftiness, taking advantage with heel tactics, including Maurice clobbering the Glamazon with a loaded purse. The heels then take charge with Maurice delivering a crisp Hurricanrana to Edge and the Miz, looking to end things with the skull-crushing finale to Edge. However, Beth spears Maurice, giving Edge time to recover. There's a double spear by the Grit couple to the Miz, and Beth and Edge delivers simultaneous glam slams to the couple, pinning Miz and Maurice for the victory. And now it's time for the main event, as now we get the Men's Royal Rumble match. AJ starts off as number 1, with the Intercontinental Champion entering at number 2. Almost enters the Rumble, wreaking havoc on the participants until the Alpha Academy's Chad Gable shows up, rallying the remaining superstars to concentrate their efforts on the big man. It takes 5 men to get Omos on the edge of the ropes as AJ bounces off the ropes, delivering the coup de grace that sends Omos over and out. There's several surprise returns as McIntyre returns to exact revenge on Happy Corbin and Madcap Moss for their kayfabe attack on him at day 1. Bad Bunny and Shane McMahon even make surprise entrances, and it looks like RK Bro are going to clean house as they team up, eliminating a variety of opponents. However, we then get the unexpected return of Brock Lesnar at number 30. The final four are Shane McMahon, Riddle, Drew McIntyre, and The Beast. Lesnar eliminates Riddle and McMahon before he and Drew do battle. Drew counters an F5 and goes for the Claymore, but Lesnar avoids it, F5ing McIntyre out of the ring as Brock Lesnar is headed to WrestleMania as he wins the Men's Royal Rumble. Yeah, let's look at the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. As always, we start off with the good as number 1, no petty pre-show matches. Now, for whatever reason, the WWE skipped the often meaningless pre-show matches it airs before the main show, and frankly, we didn't miss it. Whether this was due to the WWE needing so many wrestlers for the Rumble or a new direction remains unknown, but the absence of a C-show bout didn't hurt the show at all. Number 2, masterful mind games. Now, Seth Rollins' strategy of getting Roman Reigns' head continued at the Rumble as Rollins shocked Reigns and the fans by entering to the Shield's entrance music while dressed in his old Shield attire. The story of Rollins trying to overcome Reigns' dominance with psychological warfare made this a much different program than the past Reigns title defenses. Rollins' maniacal laugh throughout the match telling Roman "I love you" and Rollins' attempt to give Reigns the Shield fist bump stymied Reigns so much so that the head of the table snapped after his DQ loss, smashing Seth with the steel chair. A nice callback to Seth turning on the Shield. Number 3, knocking down the Forbidden Door. Now, Mickie James' return to the WWE Royal Rumble, proving the WWE is willing to open the Forbidden Door between itself and other promotions. Not only that, but the WWE acknowledged Mickie as an Impact Wrestling star, letting her enter the match with the Knockouts Championship and making sure she wasn't eliminated quickly. Kudos to the WWE for bringing James back, treating her with respect and acknowledging her current status in another promotion. Number 4, some righteous returns. Now, although the WWE spoiled several potential surprise returns such as Lita, Mickie James and the Bella Twins, it made up with some downright delightful surprises including Molly Holly, Ivory, Alicia Fox, Sarah Logan and many others. While some returning superstars such as Summer Rae didn't fare so well, there were strong performances from legends like Michelle McCool, Lita and Mickie James who all looked good in the ring with little or no evidence of ring rust. Number 5, a subtle swerve. Tonight's WWE Championship match saw a subtle and sweet swerve as Roman Reigns interfered in the hard-hitting bout. While that wasn't exactly a surprise, the real shocker was when Paul Heyman seemingly betrayed his client Brock Lesnar, throwing the championship to Reigns, allowing Reigns to KO the Beast. Naturally, Lesnar capitalized, covering Lesnar for his second championship. While the match was overbooked, its chief purpose was to further the war between Lesnar and Reigns. The only potential pitfall with this swerve is that the WWE needs to establish whose side Paul Heyman is on, otherwise the story of his conflicted allegiances is going to turn into a meandering mess. And a perfect pause. Tonight's mixed tag match was pure fun and the WWE treated fans to a crowd-pleasing match that featured 4 veterans defying Father Time. The match was everything it should have been, telling a tale of 2 arrogant heels doing their best to cheat their way to victory and a babyface team responding with perseverance. Not to mention a fantastic finish that showed a triumph of teamwork. Furthermore, it was a good match to get the fans ready for the main event, entertaining them thoroughly without stealing the show. But that was the good. What about the bad? As number 1, great opener, terrible finish. Tonight's opener by Universal Champion Roman Reigns against the former Shield brother Seth Rollins was a match for the ages, that is until the WWE ended the match on a DQ. Now, it goes without saying that a world title match at a show at the level of the Royal Rumble should never end on a DQ. The story of Seth employing a Hannibal Lecter level plan of psychological warfare on Reigns was well executed both leading up to and during the match. In the end though, it meant much less thanks to the fizzled finish. The only reason this didn't end up in the Downright Ugly is that we hope that the WWE will book a rematch, either at the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view or WrestleMania. Number 2, a terrible title match. Did anyone think Lynch was going to lose the Raw Women's Championship to Doudrop? But obviously not. But did the match have to be such a plodding and pathetic affair? The test of a true champion is the ability to work with any style of opponent, and it's clear that Lynch came up short against Doudrop in that department. Doudrop isn't a poor wrestler by any means, but Lynch should have found a way to work a good match. Instead, fans were subjected to rest holds that made the 12-minute match seem like an eternity. But that was the bad. What about the Downright Ugly as a rotten rumble? How could the WWE ruin one of its most anticipated matches of the year? Although the Women's Rumble balanced surprise returns and current WWE storylines, the Men's Rumble was one of the most disappointing Rumbles we've seen in years. The surprise returns were good, but there was no flow to the match and little suspense about who was going to be eliminated. Kofi Kingston's failed effort to create a smart-looking save when he was thrown out of the ring fizzled when Kofi fell off the security barrier and his feet clearly touched the floor. It just summed up this Rumble in general. A big botch. Things picked up when Randy Orton joined Riddle and it looked like RK-Bro would eliminate everyone in the match, but regrettably the WWE's decision to put Brock Lesnar in number 30 spot ruined any mystery as to who would win. the show was a very mixed affair. There were some definite surprises, but not all of them were pleasant. The DQ finish for Roman vs Seth was a terrible start to the show, and thankfully the Women's Rumble helped things get back on track. The show stalled again as Becky vs Doudrop was a poor showing, and that's being generous. The finish for the Lesnar vs Lashley certainly added more intrigue to the ongoing saga of Reigns vs Lesnar, while the mixed tag match was the fun affair fans were expecting. Lesnar's Rumble win was more of the same erratic booking that finds its way into any Lesnar storyline whenever the WWE needs to put him into the title scene. And lastly, a bit of news, as a fire strikes the Royal Rumble. A potential disaster was averted at the Royal Rumble after Ronda Rousey's fireworks caused a fire. Wrestle Talk's Louis Dangoor is reporting, according to reports from fans in attendance, a fire broke out after Ronda Rousey made her return tonight. The fire resulted in fans having to be removed from their section of seats during the show. Fightful.com's Sean Ross Sapp uploaded a video of the WrestleMania 38 sign apparently catching fire. Dangoor added, the sign was lowered and the fire was put out. Fans were able to return to their seats within a few minutes of the fire. Thankfully that didn't end up in a complete disaster. But there you have it folks, our recap of the 2022 Royal Rumble. What did you guys think of it? Let us know in the comments down below, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.